Hi, my name is Marin.
My name is Johnny.
And this is Sibling Scribbles, the sibling podcast for the creative process.
I'm saying we demystify the creative process, right? Where we no. Demystify too many syllables for most listeners.
Syllables.
Yeah.
Too many for me.
I guess you are most listeners, right? I guess.
Neanderthal over here. Today we're going to be doing a shorter episode, just doing a quick movie review for the movie Wish.
Please, I'm wearing headphones. I hear that. Destroying my... So let's talk about, there's a lot to talk about with Wish.
Yes.
I watched it a few weeks ago. I said, look, you're going to have to see it. Haley and I have been watching a lot of Disney's recent movies as hate watches. We like going to sleep at like kind of just a fever pitch of anger. It's just good for you. It's really good for you.
Spiteful Dreams.
Kind of
interesting.
It's Spiteful Dreams you have the most control over, right? So I got to strangle a handful of Disney executives for the horrible decisions they made going into
Bob.
this. Yeah, sorry, Bob. Sorry, Kath. So how much money did this movie lose?
So this movie, according to the AI overview of the Google, $130 million they lost.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. It is the fourth biggest financial loser of 2023, which that's impressive because...
Yeah, it is. That's a pretty big financial loss.
That means that someone lost more than $130 million.
Yeah, it's more than the entire Civil War cost.
That's crazy. That's, like less than Louisiana Purchase was.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Right. So, Marin, why do you think that this movie failed to grasp audiences?
I don't know. It was like everything. Like everything was bad about it. I mean, except for the voice actors, because like the voice actors all had amazing voices and they're all great singers. And, they got into character and...
They really gave it 100%.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't on them.
Right.
Their lines, however, were really bad. The word choice was maybe not up to par. The
one line that made me laugh throughout the whole movie was like, if you make a wish on something, then it'll come true. And Grumpy is like, what are you, 6? Like, that's the only time that I laughed in the whole movie.
It was just a little confusing, all of it. From an animation standpoint, I actually watched a video on this and I was like, that's super interesting. Because then when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, yeah, he's totally right. There isn't any motion blur. So because this is a feature film, there is a certain level of animation quality that people expect. And it's different between TV show quality. TV show quality has a much lower budget. And so when they make... something, it has to be quicker animation. It's a much quicker turnaround. But for a movie, you can work on it for like 3 years. And that gives you so much time that everything needs to look real sexy to come out. But they didn't have motion blur, which is something you typically have in feature film, and it didn't have it. And so people were like, why does it like... It's just not... It's not quite right.
It's janky. It's a little janky.
I don't quite get it. Why it's like bumping,
Right. The reason... I heard the reason they did that, though, is because we had talked about this before, and I was like, why on earth did they make that choice? What I read was that because old school Disney movies, like old school, we're talking Sleeping Beauty, we're talking
Snow White,
yeah,
the classics.
Because those didn't have motion blur. They chose not to include motion blur in this movie because they wanted to emulate that style. They wanted
storybook style.
Yeah. But
then they fought against that by making the whole thing 3D animated.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot of choices they made that were trying to emulate that storybook style. I mean, even like all the environments were so flat that compared to the 3D people, it looked like they were actors standing in front of a junior high stage where they just had like big, panels of like foam that they painted
then they're
over.
gonna like flip over during the next scene.
So that's a new scene, new backdrop.
Yeah. So that's the thing. This is probably my biggest argument for Kill Your Darlings.
What was that? You did a little rainbow.
Kill Your Darlings.
Okay, I see. We're opening a segment. Continue.
The movie, I felt like, had so many things that they wanted to include all of them in there and be like, this is for Disney's 100th anniversary. But it was like, because you tried to include so much, it actually became a disrespect because you had no priority.
Right. You didn't say, okay, we're going to include, maybe this is like an origin story for the magic mirror. Ooh, interesting. But, or maybe like the main character, Asha, is that her name?
Okay.
Sure. Okay. This is the most disrespectful. Okay. Her character is kind of implied to be like the fairy godmother or like some previous version of the fairy godmother. You're right. They keep making these implications, right, that are essentially just Easter eggs, and they end up kind of. You wonder why that was given a priority over other things, right? Like, why was this scene at the end of her getting the cloak and getting the wand and making people's wishes come true? Why was this scene so so important to like her as a character? Why did that matter? Did she want to make people's wishes come true? I kind of felt like she only got the job to make her grandpa's wish come true. I don't know if she actually
didn't really care about anybody. And even at the end, they're like, here's the magic wand. And she's like, yeah, okay. I don't really want it. And they're like, take it. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's who we want. Granting our wishes, everybody.
Bibbidi boppity boo, everyone.
It was weird because they had the one that bumped the most for me was Peter Pan. That they had him. They have Peter Pan in it, and they're like,
which one was he?
He actually shows up in his Peter Pan outfit at the end.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
And they're like, he wants to build a flying contraption. It's like, no, he doesn't.
No, he just flies.
He wants to be a kid forever.
You made like every other animal speak. You just give him, let him fly.
Let him fly. What the It was like that one bumped so much for me because it's like all of these characters, it's like they're stuck in purgatory. And like this island is that. That's
actually my biggest critique. We've kind of been going in circles a little bit, but that was a real criticism that I had, which was that what Magnifico was doing was supposed to be like really, really evil, right?
Yeah.
When he does this thing, it's supposed to be so bad that Asha just cannot stand it anymore, and she just Bye,
Thompson. I love you.
Bye, Thompson. I love you too. We love Thompson.
Don't take my man. I'll fight you.
I'll never be deserving of Thompson.
Me neither.
We'll address that another time. Magnifico only grants people's wishes who he says.
He grants a wish once a month. That's a lot of wishes.
Okay, frankly, and these wishes aren't small wishes. Someone's like, hey, I want to be a knight. He's like, cool, I'm going to give you like all the training and weaponry and like leadership skills just instantly, and now you're a knight. And
they did make him an evil knight, but
right, but nobody else turned evil.
Yeah, but that was his. Yeah, that was just.
There's no consistency.
Yeah.
But the whole point was that he was only granting wishes that he deemed worthy, because apparently at some point in his life he had seen wishes destroy an entire kingdom, and that's why he fled to this island. And yet, we don't actually see any evidence of that being a bad thing. Her grandpa's wish is, I wish I could tell stories that would influence everybody, would inspire everybody. And he's like, well, inspire them to do what? Right? He's like, inspire them to do what?
He's like,
Asha?
It's too vague.
It's too vague. It's too broad. Like, and she's like, what? But what about his dream? Like, what if your grandpa was a freak? Okay? Like, what if your grandpa sucked? Like, what if he had decided to inspire everybody to kill him?
Yeah.
Right? He's actually right.
A little justified.
He's kind of justified in that.
Yeah. And the thing is like the king, there was no actual reason for him to turn evil.
No,
they
there
were like,
wasn't.
just go ahead and turn evil. Like one person defies you. One person. And you're going to go to the evil book.
Just 100. Yeah. Immediately sell your soul to the devil.
Right.
Just and instantly.
And you cannot you cannot return from evil magic. Like that. There's no redemption.
That was kind of shocking because once again, the thing he was doing was not completely out of pocket, right?
He's like, I have a kingdom.
He's like, I have a kingdom. Someone now has powers to grant wishes. I know how dangerous wishes can be because it eradicated, obliterated my family and my homeland. Right. And now someone else has that power and they don't understand the responsibility of it. I am now going to stop them from destroying the utopia that I have built.
By becoming pure evil without redemption.
Right.
What?
Yeah, that was a lot.
And the queen is like, don't do it, babe. And he's like, traitor.
And she's like, fine, I'm gonna lock you in a mirror. It's like, dang, okay.
It's like, we've been together and we've traversed so much conflict and you're gonna do one bad thing and I'm gonna lock you forever in a mirror in the dungeon.
Women power. Like, it's, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Maybe it's better for Disney characters to only have one parent. So embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. That's the thing. I say women power. I say woman power like as a joke there.
Yeah.
But the truth is, so much is happening in this movie and so much is happening at Disney and Disney Animation right now that even when the decision isn't really a woman power moment, I still am seeing those things happening, right? I see that and I go, that felt like it was decided in a boardroom, not actually for the creative necessity of it.
Yeah. Also, why was the King's Evil song like had like people in the background going like la 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 la? It was not a good evil song.
I know why, actually. I know why. It's because the song that he sings with Asha, the I Will Protect You song, that's supposed to be the villain song.
Really?
Originally, it was going to be the king and the queen as an evil duo. And the song is actually about how they want to protect everybody from themselves. And so the song is like really sweet and melancholy, but it's also kind of sinister as these two people like use their power to keep people from themselves.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's rad as heck. It's so friggin' cool.
Why did they do that? Oh, never mind. We're not gonna. We're not gonna talk.
We don't have time in this episode for this. But the flip side of that is right. The flip side is that means that they wrote this song. It was truly amazing. They gave Asha the second half of that duet, and they needed a villain song now. They needed a full villain song, and the full villain song sounds like Lin-Manuel Miranda's understudy wrote it. Right? It is.
It's kind of a fun song, but he's like in the front, like turning evil, and you're like, I'm getting mixed vibes.
There's a lot going on here.
I don't really know what you want me to feel. And he's like really turning, and he's like stomping on tiny people and green magic in his eyeballs, and you're like, your background singers aren't really contributing to the vibe.
Uninformed. They did not get the memo.
I mean, at least with Scar, like his background singers were actually marching like Hitler.
Yeah, they were like
Nazis.
straight up Nazis. There was no confusion.
Hyena Nazis.
Yeah.
And then his background singers are like, yeah.
This is the thanks I get.
Yeah. This is the thanks I get. Like, there was a lot of this going on.
Yeah, a lot of hand motion. Where the frick? Where? Poor unfortunate souls. Okay, Poor Unfortunate Souls is a song that just like rips your gut out. Right, it's because you're like, this is an evil human being who is is lying every single thing she says.
Right. She's like, am I really so bad?
I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, like
you suck.
You're terrible.
Magnifico, I kind of agree with him.
Yeah.
I've been on the internet. I know what people wish for. Get that crap away from me. All right, we've exhausted this avenue.
Okay, so one of the other things that I've heard are that people saying that Magnifico is a commentary on God.
Oh.
Yes. So
Oh, okay.
that's why people don't like him, because they're like, well, we should be making his wishes and God should be granting them. But God is only choosing specifically things that benefit him and what he deems his people need. And that is a bad thing. God should be giving us everything we're doing if we're being good and contributing.
See,
so when you say it like that, you're like,
oh, I do see
that's a little too close for comfort.
That's like directly on the nose, right? See, that's the thing, is that like this is all interpretation, right? Interpretation is really, really messy because, you know, there's the whole like author's intentions or whatever. But at one point, if every single point that this author has written points toward a single conclusion, then the author didn't mean that, then they miscommunicated their point, right? At the end of the day, the message they said was, you know, if you looked at someone and said like, I would hate for you to have an accident, and you were like, oh my gosh, are you threatening me? And they're like, no, this is just how I talk. Sweet mercy.
Good glory.
So all they had to do to fix this was, they say that if you make these wishes and you give him one of your wishes, that it actually kind of like sucks your soul out a little bit. You lose kind of that energy and that light. All they had to do was not include the song at the beginning of Welcome to Rosas, everything is perfect and beautiful and it's a utopia.
Yeah.
And instead they could have done that song. They just needed a part of the song where they show that a majority of the population are like gray and hollow.
Right.
That's all they needed to do to make it so that Magnifico was actively a bad guy. But instead, I kind of agree with them.
Yeah. It just seemed like, I've been to Disney World. It's actually so amazing and very magical. But I don't know. It kind of seemed like they were trying to set up a little Rosas area where they would sell cookies, and there's going to be, you know.
It's like when you saw the little star and you're like, that's going to make it very easy to
That's going to be a stuffed animal.
That's an easily produced plushie. That's what that is.
Yeah. And I'm like,
That's what I thought, because in the concept art, the star was originally a boy, right? He crashed to Earth and he was like a yellow and white boy, and there was going to be like a romance between these two characters.
oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw this concept art where
Right.
he's kind of like Jack Frosty.
Right.
No,
And so,
like
I could go for a Jack Frosty.
a chocolate Jack Frosty?
I actually kind of like the vanilla Jack Frosties. I hear they have a orange creamsicle Jack Frosty right now.
I've heard that thing is nasty.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, Jack Frost like. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
It was really cool. And so, of
Oh,
course.
and here's the evil king and queen.
Yeah.
They had a
So
cat.
cool.
Oh.
So cool. I love the idea of an evil power couple. We've never had that before. I love the idea of this. She's not like a princess romance. It is kind of this. See, this story is different because if a star fell to Earth,
celestial romance.
right, it's divine. She's actually fallen in love with someone who represents divinity, right? True granting of wishes. Whereas the king would represent a perverted, man-made version of granting wishes. It would have actually been, if it had been with Starboy, right?
Right.
The story would have actually been about divinity in a very positive light. It would have been about someone who is touching the stars and touching the heavens and coming home and spreading that joy to everyone around her. Whereas this story is not that. This story is, you're right, it is kind of like an attack on and I don't know if I'd go as far as say attack. There's nothing about this movie that's aggressive or assertive, but it is a commentary about religion. It is absolutely a commentary about religion.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That they're saying that we need, in a way, because if we're Asha and King Magnifico is God, that we need to rebel against him and you like follow the desires of our hearts no matter what they are.
Right.
Like even if they don't contribute to helping people,
Right.
we need to follow those things and actively go against the people and the island. And that's actually what will bring us together.
There is a big.
I met some people and the desires of our hearts are not good.
No, they're not. People suck. People really, really suck.
We don't live in Disney World.
No, we don't. People don't
Where
have like
We're
good
like the craziest desires that they could fly. I'm like,
Yeah, if my craziest desire is that I get fed on time, right? Like, then it's not that bad, okay?
right.
If I get up and Magnifico's like, congratulations, all your laundry is immediately done and your dishes do themselves, I'd be like, let's freaking go! But it's not that, right? Instead, the story is saying that, like, I'm not going to stick on this point for long, but if you compare this with Sleeping Beauty,
which a lot of the concept art looks pretty similar to.
Right. They're very clearly drawing upon the classics of Disney. Sleeping Beauty is a story about divinity and wishes coming true, while Cinderella is a lot more explicit about that in its dialogue. Sleeping Beauty is very much about a pure, happy girl who brings light into the world, and she is this drop of divinity, right? She is this angel on earth. And Philip is this gallivanting, hanging out with his horse and singing and riding around with no one to watch him, kind of this errant rich kid who learns about responsibility. He gets friggin' jumped by Maleficent, thrown in prison, and then he's rescued by divinity. He's rescued by the fairies, and he's given these weapons he's literally armed with truth and virtue. And he uses truth and virtue to defend the goodness in the world. Someone who changes people's lives by just how sweet and true and good she is.
Right. Yeah.
And this story Wish goes directly against the message of that story. Whether or not you agree with the point of Wish goes directly against the morals and themes of classic Disney, which it is attempting to emulate.
Right. I feel like if Disney was trying to be special, if they were trying to be unique and trying to give how actors on the stage at the end of the show, they finish bowing and then they go like this till everyone looks back at the lighting crew and they clap.
Yeah.
If they were really, I don't know what that is. If they were trying to do this to the past Disney movies and stuff, they should have made it a love story.
Absolutely.
They
100%.
should have talked about making wishes in a positive way instead of it being like, your wishes are, not good. And, you should have all of the wishes that you want. And it's like,
At the end of the day, though,
the old Disney princesses, the wishes they wanted were like normal human being wishes. They're like, I want a guy in my life. I want to go to a party.
Rapunzel straight up is just like, I just want, I'll come right home. I just want to go out and hang out on my birthday. I just want to go and party one time.
Yeah. And Belle is like, there's so much more than this provincial life. Let me tell you, growing up, you think that.
Absolutely.
As a teenager, you're like,
yes, there's got to be more than this, right? Like, come on. Life has got to be more beautiful than just this.
Right.
Or Ariel, right? Part of your world. That is just, these are the big, the what if songs, right? Or the if only, that's what it is. The if only songs, one of my favorite ones has got to be I'm Still Here from Treasure Planet.
My favorite Disney princess song.
Disney prince.
Shout out to you, Jimbo.
Shout out to Jimbo, exploring the stars.
But Dad, he says that all the time. Where I'm like, I feel trapped. Like I hate doing these things. He's like, there must be more than this provincial life. And I'm like, Dad, shut up. But he's right. Like a lot of the songs are, I just want more.
And it's not a bad I just want more.
Because
it's not really.
That's a human desire.
Absolutely. We want things to improve. We do. We just like things being better.
So for Wish to be like, they want to fly. He wants to inspire someone. You're like, these wishes suck. I'm sorry, but you deserve losing them.
Actually, I would hate to hear that song. Could you?
It's like, I want to be the best knight. That's actually achievable.
Oh, hey, way to go, man.
You can actually, that is a career goal. That's where do you see yourself in 5 years? I see myself as the best knight.
Oh, rad, man. I know a guy who knows a guy. You can talk to him.
He just wants to be a loyal person. I was like,
hey, man, I just want to serve my country. Is that too much? I want to protect this perfect utopia that my friends and family live in. And everyone's like, oh, it's so bad. Oh my goodness, that's another thing, isn't it? The desire to be a soldier, the desire to be a warrior is actually an evil thing.
Did they make him evil?
They make him evil. Nobody else gets turned evil when they have their wish granted.
Well, his wish was granted by evil Magnifico, though. Remember?
But that's kind of the point. That doesn't matter. The point is that even if he did, he granted the wish, and the thing that he wanted was, I'm going to be loyal to my country, and I'm going to be loyal to God. And the message of the story is that if you're loyal to God,
you become evil.
You become evil.
Because you turn your heart away from your friends into God. You become evil.
Yeah, no, that's what that's saying. This is
so unfortunate.
Whether or not you agree with this, look, this is very well documented in history. There are 4 types of leaders in a nation. There are warriors, priests, merchants, and bureaucrats.
Wow, you really rattled those off. That was good.
Yeah, and if you look at like Edo period Japan, that was a warrior class society. And if you look at knights during the Middle Ages, that was a warrior class society.
Right.
But we don't live in that society right now. We live in a merchant and bureaucrat society where we have Disney, which is a corporation, right? Bureaucrats and merchants,
right,
trying to convince you that they are the moral people in society. Now, don't get me wrong. Warriors are not always moral. Warriors actually have a deep responsibility to use their powers and their strengths for good. Warrior class societies are all about finding the justice in death and finding the justice in war. And those stories are actually rather noble and very honorable and very exciting, very gloriful, right? Gloriful?
Gloriful?
It sounds like chlorophyll.
They're so chlorophyll.
I'm full of chlorophyll right now.
Oh, the humidity.
But right now we have a culture where being a warrior and listening to God, right? Priests and warriors, those 2 other leaders are immoral in the eyes of bureaucrats and merchants. I'm like putting this together as I talk, right? Like oh my gosh, I'm seeing the connections. But so of course, this movie is actually about, hey, indulge in the things that you love. Here, we're gonna have a character whose whole character is I bake cookies, and we are going to have, and everyone's eating cookies constantly, and
they only eat cookies.
I did not see another piece of food in that movie. They did not render anything else.
You were really trying to sell those Magnifico cookies.
The modelers, the 3D modelers were like, look, that's the best I got. It's like 3 cookies.
Oh gosh.
So they're saying like indulge, and wishes will come true if you follow your heart, and your heart is telling you to listen to us. And it comes back to what I was saying a second ago. This movie is maybe the most diverse Disney movie ever, right? In terms of just the different races represented.
Which was fine.
Yeah, who cares? But the reason that was in there, I'm super cool with that. I love that. I really do. But the issue with it is that it wasn't actually decided. It wasn't actually chosen because they wanted to represent those cultures or those races. They were chosen in a corporate boardroom because they understood that Asian girls are going to buy Asian girl toys, and black boys are going to buy black boy toys. And so they include all of those characters to include the demographics who are going to buy those respective toys.
Right. And because of the culture war and all of this stuff that's happening right now, they're like, okay, got to do our checkbox.
Haley made this point.
Surprised.
Yeah.
You might have to cut this out, but surprised, 2 gay people didn't make out on screen because that was their highest desire.
So am I. Yeah, actually, so am I. I don't see. I'm not going to cut that out because really, I don't see why not.
Or like someone's greatest dream was to actually.
I'll tell you why, because it didn't sell in China.
Well, like they didn't. Like someone's greatest wish wasn't to change genders. Like to become a woman,
right.
Which is actually something that
would have fit really well into the story. That would have kind of been narratively perfect.
Yeah.
If Magnifico had said, no, I don't think that you should be a boy, and then they changed into a boy because of their wish, that actually narratively works super well. But we know that the reason they've chosen these things in particular is because it's for corporate reasons. Haley brought this up. Haley said, if they actually wanted to be representative of all these different countries, I would have seen those countries in the opening song.
Right.
Rosas would have been a diverse country in visual languages as well. We would have seen an African tent. We would have seen an Italian, store. We would have seen they would have been represented in everything, not just in the skin color. It
should have been Epcot Town.
I don't. All right. We're going to end this episode by me explaining this joke about Epcot. We're going to Epcot in like 3 weeks. The joke is that Haley and I don't know what Epcot is. We don't understand it, and no one's explained it. And
because every time someone tries to, they're like, no. We don't know what it is.
Well, it's just that for a while we thought, okay, eventually someone will explain it to me. But the more information we've heard about Epcot, the less consistent our image of Epcot has become, right? So
they just know the ball.
We know there's a big ball. We don't know if we're in the ball or if we're next to the ball or if the ball is next to something else. So there's culture stuff, but sometimes there's concerts. There's a butterfly thing. No, the butterfly thing got taken away. There's a car show. I'm not
like reacting to
I
anything
don't
you're
know.
saying.
I just don't know. And the thing is, the longer this joke went on, the funnier it got until Haley and I met each other and we realized we both were going through this. And now we have stopped anybody from explaining it to us.
Until they go.
So that when we walk into Epcot and we go, oh, that's why it's called Epcot, then we can actually...
And if you've been to Epcot, you know they won't have that experience.
Gosh, dang it. Frick.
Anyways,
which is a 2 out of 10. My name is Johnny.
2 out of 10. We didn't like it. Kill your darlings. Commit to a story and don't try and please the crowds.
No.
Just like Magnifico should have been, you should have a plan, follow through, think about how it benefits people in your country. God bless.
God bless.
I just got my American flag wreath on my door. It's basically 4th of July already.
The lesson that I get out of this is that kind of what you were saying a second ago is that if something is a universal truth, that something being a universal truth is different from something being universally marketable. Mm-hmm. And Wish succeeds at being universally marketable and fails completely at being a universal truth.
Mm-hmm. And please go back to making love stories that are cute. And because that is what a majority of people really do wish for. Some true love and to be cared by someone that you love.
Community. And we love you.
I don't really know you.
Spend your money, spend your money, spend your money, spend your money.
Stay creative.
Stay creative. Bye.